She walked over to the guy, and she was so excited. The look on her face of excitement when she was coming up to him and leaning in, and she was like, I can't do it. But it was a look that I had never seen before in my life. She was excited in a way that I had never seen before in my life. She was conveying an emotion that I'd never seen before. And that broke me. That was what pushed me over the edge, because I knew there's no coming back from this.
I thought I liked being cucked. I didn't. Video by Daniel Hinchell. Now, this is the weirdest title video that I've ever seen on YouTube, but it came across my recommendations and I thought that I'd be able to, get some value out of this video, maybe, or at least my commentary would give you guys some value. So let's go ahead and get into this video, man. Shaking my head. Let's see.
Everybody, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience being cucked, particularly something that happened between me and my ex-wife. Now, before I begin, there are two things that you need to know about my ex-wife. Okay, number one, she loved getting jiggy with it, right? She loved it. She was like an animal. And she died. So that was kind of like a chicken and the egg scenario, divorce, death, which came first, but point is, whichever way you slice it, she's out of my life. I never knew if your partner dies, does that automatically mean they're your ex? But anyway.
That's wild. But I will say, I'm gonna make some assumptions before he kind of gets into it. I'm gonna assume that he got this way through watching a lot of corn. I think that's what kind of leads guys into these weird fetishes. And he looks like he's, a kind of low testosterone type of guy also. So maybe his recently deceased wife was kind of running the show. But let's go ahead and hear, man.
Right. This is not normally a story that I probably would feel comfortable telling because it's very personal, right? But the reason I wanted to tell it was because, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've sort of been blowing up lately, And so I feel like now I have a little bit more of a platform, and that allows me to sort of provide people a perspective on things that they wouldn't normally see. For example, cucking is kind of a joke, right? It's sort of considered a punchline in our culture. And for me, it's the exact opposite, because I have always struggled with insecurity, dysfunction in the bedroom and everywhere else. I mean, if you've watched this YouTube channel for more than 5 seconds, you probably could tell that I'm very mentally ill, right?
Yeah, very, very mentally ill. But like he said, insecurity, right? And this is the same thing they said about Diddy, right? If y'all don't know, allegedly, the reason why Diddy was bringing all these other guys, these porn stars, into his bedroom with other women is because he told one of the guy did an interview. He said that Diddy told him, like, look, I can give a woman everything in the world. I can buy her whatever, but I can't give her that, They're saying that Diddy allegedly had a micro penis. I don't know, I never seen it, right? But that was one of the reasons why he was bringing other guys into the bedroom. Now, I think that, along with, excessive corn watching, they say his mother was allegedly also having these freaky parties. So growing up in a over sexualized situation will lead you down some of these weird, very, very weird and strange paths.
So cucking for me is sort of more of a therapeutic exercise, right? It's sort of an emotional, ritualistic sort of thing. And basically, like I said, I had a very, very difficult time my entire life sort of making it happen in the terms of intimacy. And so what really wasn't until my ex-wife and I got together and then really got to know each other and got comfortable with each other that I was able to have anything remotely resembling physical intimacy. And so even when it was good, even when it was even the best night that we had, it would be over and I would think, I would obsess over, were you faking it? Would you rather be with somebody else? Do you wish it was your ex? All this stuff. And I would grill her basically every night about all these things. And then that started to...
So he's had all of these insecurities when it comes to the bedroom, and he decided to, project that onto his wife by asking her all of these questions, letting her know that he was super insecure about his performance and I guess size and all these different things, right? And I'm sure this is things that a lot of guys struggle with, but like I said, most of this stuff is due to two things: excessive porn watching, too much gooning, fapping, whatever you want to call it, and low testosterone, bro. Like, you fix those two things, a lot of those, like, you'll just be in better control of your mind, to where you won't even be having all of these kind of mental issues that we see this guy right here. Like, I don't know if he's trolling or not. He could be trolling this whole video. We're not even gonna watch this whole thing. It's 26 minutes long. Like, but we're gonna try to get his side of it.
Spill over into my daily life. That would become, are you cheating on me? Why aren't you texting me back? Why aren't you calling me? Do you even love me? All this stuff. And it got very, 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 very difficult for both of us. And that really started to sort of fray our relationship, and it started to, I remember very vividly one night, I had a dream. That's not like Martin Luther King, not that kind of dream. I hope he didn't have a dream like this, because otherwise he would be pretty freaky. I don't know, he's kind of, maybe it's, anyway, I had a dream. Now I can't stop thinking about Martin Luther King. I had a nightmare. Let's say that. I have a nightmare. Evil Dr. King, right? I had a nightmare where my wife was engaging in an act of physical intimacy in front of me, and I couldn't do anything about it, and she was doing it to humiliate me. She was tormenting me with it, right? And it started to become a recurring nightmare. And eventually I brought this up to her, and I said, I've been having this dream where you, at the time I didn't know exactly that that's what it was called, cucking. But I told her, I have been having this nightmare where you physically, or you torment me, psychologically and physically, in this way. I don't want to say it because I don't want to get YouTube to get all pissy with me, but yeah, basically I told her, and she said, I thought she would think it was funny, but she really did not. And she said, you know what? I am getting sick of you having this idea of me in your head, this figment of your imagination.
And that's exactly what it is, man. I mean, he's having this dream about his girl getting bust down by another guy. He says he's continuously having this dream. And my thing is, a lot of times the things that are in your subconscious, the things that you allow to be pushed into the deeper parts of your mind, those are the things that you're going to dream about. So if he's constantly insecure, constantly worried about if his wife is thinking about her ex or some other guy, or wanting to experience things with other people the whole time, she's chilling. She's chilling. Like, you're not the most adept in the bedroom, but there's probably other things about you that she likes. That is the reason why she's married to you at the end of the day. And he just can't get it out of his own head. And that's why I think a lot of guys also struggle with. So,
who is evil, right? You have invented a version of me that is evil and is trying to ruin your life, and you think that's me, right? You projected that onto me. So that's what's causing all the problems in our relationship. And at the time, I was sort of like, okay, lesson learned. Don't tell you anything ever again, right? Zip.
My thing is, like, in doing that, shutting down when she's trying to tell you, like, I'm not that person that you are imagining to me, and now he doesn't want to tell her anything anymore. Like, a lot of guys just don't understand, like, when it comes to women, they are going to, a lot of times they're going to tell you how it is, and it might not be the exact, like, I don't know what response he wanted from her to, like, make him feel better in that situation. I think she gave him the best response. Like, she told him, you're creating this character of me that's not me in your head, that's destroying your fucking life, and that's not me. And now he wants to, like, shut down. And, like, I don't know. To me, it sounds like he wanted her to say, "Oh yeah, I've been having the same dream. Like, maybe we should try it." Like, that's what it sounds like.
But, after I started to think about it and I started to realize she was exactly right. I was right on the money. And I sort of sat with this for a little bit, and I started to I worked with my therapist, trying to figure out how to sort of get the evil version of her out of my head. But it was just, it's very, very deep seated problems that I have. So basically, one night we had an argument. And it was about something so dumb, I don't even remember what it was, but basically the how sort of it's like every argument isn't really about the thing that it's about. It's about it's like most couples have the same argument over and over again their entire relationship, right? Same thing. And that's definitely the case with us. And it got to a point where she said, "What do? We cannot continue going on like this. So we have to either do something or end it." And I, as a joke, said, "Well, why don't we have a threesome?" And I was expecting her to laugh. I was trying to break the tension with that. But her reaction was like, "Really?" And I could tell that she was actually interested. And I said, "Well, I was joking, but I was at a place where I feel like I'm such a pathetic loser in relationships. I was at a place where I was ready to do anything. You're going to probably hear the rest of the story and you're going to say, you're so stupid. But you have to understand, I was in a place where I would do anything to just have her love me again, right? I would do anything to have her to just fix it."
Well, to bring it back, when he said they were having the same argument over and over and over again, to me, if you can't find a solution and it's like the same thing y'all are constantly arguing about, and it's something so big that y'all can't just agree to disagree. Like, if it's okay, if it's like something small, like what do we have for breakfast? You like eggs, she doesn't like eggs. Okay, we don't have to continue to argue about that. But if it's something big, like, I don't know, maybe she wants to live in Alaska and you want to live in Antarctica, right? If it's something big like that and y'all constantly going back and forth over it, then y'all probably just aren't that compatible. Which to me, I don't think that, like, I feel like he is honestly like just a bitch, and that's what a lot of guys are, man. Like, to be brutally honest about it, he seems like he came into a relationship as a kind of like an insecure little bitch, doesn't know how to be a man in so many aspects. And I think like a guy should really find himself, find his manhood, make sure he's not like frequent gooner, and kind of cure some of these insecurities he has about himself before getting into a relationship. And I think that would have kind of prevented a lot of the things that we're about to hear next.
And I didn't know at the time, nothing will do that. It's not possible. But so when I said the threesome remark and she said she was interested, I said, I was just joking. But if you are interested, then I'll think about it. And she said, "You know what? Yeah." And the reason why she said that was because this is probably important context I should have mentioned earlier. She was polyamorous before we got married. So she sort of lived her whole life, slinging it all around town, and everybody was just supposed to be fine with that, And I made that an ultimatum. I said, I cannot do that. So either it's probably.
So he set himself up for failure, bro. Like, most guys don't want a girl that's been all around the block, but he should have told us this a lot way earlier, because for him to get married to a girl that was polyamorous at one point, because when I'm thinking that, okay, you suggested a threesome to her, I'm assuming that she knows that you're probably talking about another girl. But if she was in a poly relationship, or just kind of, and maybe not even a relationship, just someone that was just a hoe, and that's the label she wants to give it to make it seem like it wasn't like her just being out there, but she really was kind of just out there, then yeah, bro, you're setting yourself up for failure marrying that type of woman, in my opinion. But sometimes I do also believe you can't hold people to their lowest moment in life. So,
not going to work between the two of us. But we fell so in love that she was willing to give that up for me. And talking about it now, I don't think I ever really appreciated that the way that I should have, and that's my bad. I did a lot of things wrong up until this point, right? Well, and still, anyway, she said, okay, let's do a threesome. So I was like, okay, sort of hesitantly, but I figured I could let her have this because she gave in to me to get married, and so I can give in to her a little bit. Compromise, right? So I sat with it for a few more days, and then I came to her. I had sort of, I do a lot of surfing on the internet, and so it's almost impossible to not find something about cucking in some way or shape or form,
Bro, see, I told y'all he's a freaking gooner, frequent corn watcher. This guy, he literally just said, I do a lot of surfing on the internet, and it's hard not to find information about cucking. Like, bro, you can be on the internet all fucking day. I know plenty of people who don't know what cucking is, and they spend all fucking day on the internet, bro. The only reason why he knows about this is because watching corn frequently, probably day after day after day, happen multiple times a day, a lot of times you get desensitized to the stuff you start watching at first, and then you start diving into those other categories, and that's where people get these weird fetishes from, bro. It's not like nobody just first day getting on the internet just starts looking at cuck videos. It's like, and then like to see it and like, hey, I think I like that, let me invite another guy into the room because I know he's gonna do my wife better than me, and I'm gonna sit in the chair in the corner and watch and possibly do whatever I'm doing in that corner. That's is insane to me, but like I said, I understand how guys get to that situation.
I had sort of stumbled into a Reddit community centered around it, and it was very cool. There were very like-minded people, and we all sort of shared similar desires and similar problems. And so I had sort of been as I was thinking about the threesome, I was like, well, I don't really feel like that would be good because I can barely make one person happy in the sack, let alone two. So I said to her, what if instead of a threesome, you get with somebody else and you do it in front of me and I watch, right? And at first she laughed. This wasn't a joke. She thought this one was a joke. And she said, you want me to?
Like, bro, she laughed because she didn't, like, she probably knew he was a bitch. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if a woman marries a guy and she knows, like, okay, he's not the strongest guy, but like I said, she probably saw other qualities in this dude. Like, he's a, what I'm saying, way he talk, I say he's kind of a funny dude. I'm not gonna lie. So, he's probably nice to be around. You know what they say? You make her laugh and giggle, you can make that thing jiggle as well. So, that's probably some of the things she liked about him. But then you bring up this shit to her, bro, she gonna see you in a whole different light.
Cuck you? And I said, well, yeah, I don't know. It's I know it's considered a joke, but I said, yeah, I feel like maybe there's a concept in therapy called exposure therapy. Okay. And that is basically when if you have a fear or a phobia, you expose yourself to the fear or phobia so that you see it's not a big deal and you get over it. So if you're afraid of bees, kick a bee's nest. If you're a germaphobe, stick a sandwich in a toilet and eat it, or lick your own. I don't know. Point is, you expose yourself to the phobia, and then you see that it's not a big deal. So I said, my worst nightmare, literally, my worst nightmare is that I'm getting cucked. So what if it just happens, and then I'm like, okay, the worst thing that could ever.
Bro, the reason why the thing about it, bro, what you resist persists, man, in this life. So if you're the type of person that you're just fearing something, like whatever situation it is happening so bad, then yeah, a lot of times that shit will happen to you, man. You can't be walking around on this earth scared of scenarios, shit that never even happened. Like, the brains we have are very powerful, but sometimes they can be our own worst enemy. And it's because we'll spend time thinking about scenarios that haven't even happened. And more than likely, if it is something that did happen, it's never as bad as we seen it. Like, okay, if his wife had ended up going out and cheated on him, okay, he's hurt, for a little bit. You break up with her, maybe expose her ass to everybody and move on with his life. After that, like, it's not the end of the world. You're not gonna die. Like, it would have never been that bad. So you consistently having this cuck dream and saying that, okay, maybe we should just do it because I'm so scared. Like, yo, this dude is truly insane. Funny guy though, funny guy.
Whatever happened. Now we can move on. Now I can stop living in fear of this thing happening constantly, and we can actually have a good marriage. It was a good idea. Even now that I'm saying it again, it seems like a good idea. But
no, it doesn't.
Okay. So I presented this to her with all my reasoning, and she said, okay. She was really interested. A little too interested. That was probably the first red flag, but by the time I didn't really. So the next question became, should we pick somebody who we both know or a stranger?
Bro, I bet he got a black eye, bro. I bet they did.
At first, I thought it would be better with somebody that we knew because then we can sort of talk about it and process things and all have a discussion. We could even maybe go to thruples therapy. Look at me now. I'm becoming poly, and I got tricked into it. Anyway, then we sort of started to realize, well, if it's we were going down the list of people who were contenders from our social circles, and I was realizing I can't start going to trivia night and picturing you railing my wife every single time I'm trying to figure out, who the 12th president was. So we said maybe it would be better to have a stranger. But then that became a daunting task in and of itself because we were sort of like, well, do we go on Craigslist or like what, and then eventually
He should have did like Adam 22 at this point, he'd actually look a little bit like he could be Adam 22 little brother. But, if y'all don't know Adam 22 from No Jumper, he actually let a couple guys, do his wife. They did it for money, but still the same thing, some type of like cucking behavior. I think for the second guy, he did a kind of game show, like those. Like The Bachelor or Flavor of Love and all that type. He did like a game show like that to find out which guy he was gonna let, smash his wife, which is insane. But he might as well have did some shit like that.
I sort of said, look, the whole point of this is that it is supposed to be humiliating for me, and it is supposed to be. So I'm gonna give you the reins. You do whatever you want. You do it with whoever you want, and I just have to suck it up. That's the whole point. It's not just in the moment. It's the lead up and everything surrounding it. It's a psychological thing. So she said, okay, and I said, I promise it is okay. Never say that. So we picked out a date. Well, she picked out a date and said, you're going to do this. And that was what I wanted, So she said, we're going to do this here. It's going to be at the house. Another mistake. It's going to be with this person who I found on Hinge.
Wow.
And there we go. It's going to be great. So that night comes, and I'm very, 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 very nervous. I'm sort of that's anxiety inducing, but another mistake that I made was that I sort of had an attitude of just power through it because it's like mouthwash. The pain means that it's working. This is supposed to hurt. So the pain is good. Suck it up and get through it. So I probably would have stopped sooner had I had all the information that I have now in the future, but I didn't. So the time rolls around, I can't focus at work because I'm thinking about it. And then the night rolls around. It was a Friday night. And there's a knock at the door. He's here, right? She had told me she'd never met this guy before. And she was acting like she had never met this guy before. But as soon as she opened the door, I could swear there was a little bit of it was like a flicker of recognition. It was like they said, oh, nice to meet you, hi, how are you, my name's so and so, but the look in her eye seemed like she knew who this person was.
She probably did know the guy, I wouldn't be surprised if she did really do the whole dating profile thing. There are couples on like Tinder and Hinge and all that stuff looking for extra partners, but more than likely, if you felt like she probably knew the guy, she probably did. Maybe it was a guy that she thought about from time to time and was like, yo, this is finally the chance. She probably hit him up on the side like yo, what I'm saying, we about to do this, just act like you don't know me.
But I can't say anything because I'm going to sound like a crazy person. But that was sort of a stomach drop moment, you know. But I said, no, it's all in your head because I'm paranoid about everything else. How do I know what's right and what's not? That's my torment in life. So I said, okay, whatever. He comes in. And you know, they're sort of like, well, should we make small talk or do you want to get into it? We had put out a little charcuterie board. You know, my wife likes doing that kind of stuff. Probably should have been another red flag how into it she was getting. You know, it was like it was going to be a date. She had lit candles and, you know, cheese and all this stuff and wine.
Wow.
So he starts having crackers and you know, talking about all just the weather and all this stuff. And then eventually they say, okay, it's time. Like they started acting like they had been talking about this before. And maybe that wasn't exactly something that I had said. No, that's for no. But still, it was weird that it seemed like they were the team and I wasn't. I guess I'm complaining about exactly what I wanted and I told her that. But I don't know. It's just all these things I was starting to really get agitated and anxious. And I should have stopped it. I should have said, no, I don't want to do this anymore. But I didn't because I thought that was supposed to be good. I thought that was the way it was supposed to go. So they say, okay, we are going to start. Let's go in the bedroom. So I walked in and I felt like I was about to puke. I sit in a chair that we had positioned there, the cuck chair, right?
Wow, bro. He really had the chair too, man.
I sit down and knowing probably what I should have done was face the dude and see the back of my wife's head, because what sunk me was I sat behind the guy and I saw my wife's face straight on. So I was looking at her face, processing every single micro expression that she was emitting.
Bro, that got to be one of the most traumatizing things. I don't know if y'all know Sneeko, but people get on Sneeko a lot too, because I guess he took his girlfriend to a swingers party and, you know, they did the whole swap thing and he completely regretted it just because he had to, like, you know, watch that. That got to be like, you know, super traumatizing. But, you know, I think these guys, once your wires are crossed, sometimes it's like the people that like pain and the BDSM type of stuff. It's like certain wires get crossed and certain things that were supposed to be like painful and shit that you're not supposed to want to happen to you. Sometimes that stuff becomes like the stuff that is pleasurable for you, which is, like I said, all of it's insane to me, but you know, I'm pretty sure some of you guys have had some of these experiences. Please don't let me know down below. That's the one thing I don't want you to comment.
She walked over to the guy and she was so excited. The look on her face of excitement when she was coming up to him and leaning in, you know, and she was like, you know, I can't do it, but it was a look that I had never seen before in my life. She was excited in a way that I had never seen before in my life. She was conveying an emotion that I'd never seen before. And that broke me. That was what pushed me over the edge. Because I knew there's no coming back from this.
None, bro.
There's no coming back from knowing. This is a person who I thought that I have learned inside and out, right? And now I'm seeing that is not the case. She has been hiding this part of herself from me. Not hiding it, but it's just I've never seen it before. So that probably means there's a lot else that I haven't seen. Maybe it's my fault. We can argue that until the cows come home. But point is, I was realizing the true depth of how over our relationship was. And it was sort of like I had an out-of-body experience. Because all of a sudden I got up and I said, stop. And she got upset and she was like, what's the problem? You know, it's annoyed. She was annoyed with me for stopping. And
bro, of course she was annoyed. Like, you already let them get into that whole situation and then you try to stop the situation. And I'm gonna let y'all go ahead. Like I said, I already shouted out the video. The link will be down in the description. I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and finish this. But moral of the story is, you know, get your testosterone up, work out your insecurities, you know, stay. But though, like, I know some people, like with me, when it comes to gooning and the images and the videos and all these different websites, it's it's a problem when you make it a problem. Like it's like anything in life. Like when you abuse that stuff, me personally, to me, I see it as stuff that's like not natural and it doesn't benefit me in any type of way in my life. And that's how I kind of judge things and things that I do. Like, okay, is this benefiting me? Is this harming me? And of course, we all got our vices. We all got things that we indulge in from time to time. But that corn stuff is one of the most powerful. I think that and gambling is like two of the most destructive things, and I would suggest all young men stay away from it. But if you're watching this video and you thought about getting into this cold cuck lifestyle, and this is for some people, right? This is like, like I said, if you're Diddy, micro penis, that's one thing. Or some of these old guys that ain't got it no more, saying the Jimmy ain't jumping no more, that might be a good path for them to go. Sometimes they get the young guy to come through and bang bang bang, wham bam, thank you ma'am, and he's on his way. But for the average guy, young guy, 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, this ain't the life. Like, think twice before you make your choice. And if your woman is asking for this, you need to wonder, what I'm saying, check her goddamn search history, see what the fuck she been watching. I ain't gonna lie. Let me know what y'all think about this down below, though, if you made it to the end. Shout out to you as always. Love y'all.
I just wanna be great just to be great.